Hello. I am a worldly spouse, one who is married to a current Jehovah's Witness, but I am not of that faith, if you want to call it a faith. But for all practical purposes, let's just describe it to those who are not familiar with the JW organization. It is pretty sad that I, being a free thinker, critical thinker, and I have no dog in this fight as far as a JW. I am not totally free to indicate my name, age, or anything like that anymore, or even being filmed in front of the camera, because that could risk my whole family. My wife at the spot could divorce me right on the spot, especially after doing some counsel with the elders, and I'm sure they're going to advise her to leave me, despite many years being married, happily married. And that is the underlying fear that I have if I'm ever exposed. And, excuse me, I'm trying to sort of save my younger ones, my kids, from this organization, because they do not need to be in this high fear factor of an organization, or they're just not free. But in order for me to do that, I have to sort of be behind enemy lines, if you will. With that in mind, that is why of all the secrecy in my part is to protect what I have and what I am fighting for. And it's not a quick, direct assault, or if you will, to get them out of this particular predicament. It's going to take time, patience, and a whole lot of love and truth to let them see for themselves what this organization does. Which is going to sort of give them the comparison with other organizations and whatnot. This channel basically will be my observation of this whole JW phenomenon from a worldly person perspective, or non-JW perspective. Worldly is sort of a nickname they give the rest of the 6 million people in the world that do not conform to their ideology. And it's at first I thought it was cute, and I was wearing it with a badge of honor. I was proud of being worldly, thinking that I was international jet setter, that type, worldly, world traveled and whatnot. But actually, from their perspective, it's akin to the N-word here in America. It's really derogatory, and it's their so-called political correctness way of saying, practically savage, subhuman. That is the impression that I get after so many years and hearing them, talk among themselves, because I truly am a fly on the wall when I go to their picnics or gatherings, and my wife goes, and of course I support her, and I join her in these gatherings sometimes when we get invited. When she gets invited. I'm just a tag along. This channel is mainly a warning to other worldly people, or of those not of that faith that are thinking of romantically getting involved with a JW or ex-JW or this fellowship JW. And in other videos that I've got planned in my head, I would explain sort of the this fellowship loophole when it comes to marriage and dating outside their faith. And it's really interesting as far as my perspective of it. And that's pretty much how I got involved with my current wife right now. I have to say, as far as this sort of verbal introductory video of my channel, is that I do love the JW people, the rank and file, those elders and below. I do really love them. They are the nicest people in the world, just about. That is kind of close to the truth right there. Of course, you're going to have your bad apples, and they do show up, and they get all the press and the attention. But for the rank and file JW, they're just living their life, raising their families according to what they think is right. And my personal opinion, I think they are being misled and exploited by the Watchtower organization, which pretty much controls every facet of their lives. To the point where, in my circumstance, they are creeping into my life, or they're pretty much entrenched into it. I'm just the only person here that is not a JW in a family that is just full of them. And I got one that's fading of the family, but that's another story for another day. But bottom line, the JW people are fantastic. They're just really hard to talk to. And that's one thing, too, when you're just having a plain conversation with them in a social gathering, or if you meet them at the store, everything turns into a sales pitch. You can't really have a normal conversation. Once in a while you do, but the conversation eventually turns into a sales pitch. And me personally, I just shut down that particular aspect of the conversation. And it's a bummer, but it is what it is. So this isn't a slam or derogatory channel towards the JW people themselves. It's just the organization and their policy of how they're running things, I guess, and how they're just abusing these poor people out there that are just led blindly over a cliff. Religiously, I'm pretty much an agnostic. I don't totally disbelieve, but I don't totally believe, if that makes sense. It's let's wait and see what happens kind of attitude is where I'm coming from. So my perspective will not be from like another faith perspective where I'm just replacing one dogma with my own dogma. I have none other than be as free as you can, live your life as truthful and honorable as you can, and raise your kids right. That's pretty much the bottom line that I live by. So that perspective is what I'm sort of coming from, not from my religion is better than yours. No, none of that. It's just outlining the abusive practices of this organization seen from my perspective. And it's affecting my family's lives. It's not in critical mass yet, or it's not going to get to the yet part of it, but it's not critical mass, and I have a few younger kids that are sort of being indoctrinated, and we'll see where that leads up to. I have my own sort of way of dealing with that particular scenario. My wife was born and raised in the faith, so it's going to be quite a bit difficult to show her the truth about the truth. And I have to be really subtle about it because I could give you a few examples of some attempts that I've made in the past on how to sort of plant that seed, if you will. So with her, it's going to be a bit more challenging, but my main focus is my few kids that I have here that are somewhat being indoctrinated, like I mentioned before. And of course, I have no qualms about telling my perspective of things with them and sort of showing them when they are old enough to understand what they are getting into. So they'll be learning the truth about the truth before they even know what the truth is really all about, or the perceived truth according to the Watchtower organization. They pretty much hijacked that word, the truth. So with that, I guess I'll end my brief introduction. I have so much to say, so much experiences to relay to all of you. It's more than 10 years and less than 20 that I've been married to my wife. And for almost that long is when I've gotten involved indirectly with the JW phenomenon and that whole lifestyle. I don't practice it myself, far from it, but my wife does, and she keeps it up, and she's been with it that long. Actually, she's been born and raised in that faith. I wouldn't want to even call it a faith. I would call it an organization, corporation. So with that, like I said, I'd like to explain more. There's a lot to say, a lot of experiences to relate and to tell out there. Many stories that and little experiences that I've had with this organization, and it's really difficult. I'm sad that I have to sort of highlight this, but if I don't, like I said before, I will lose my whole family, because typically in real life, I'll be out there in the forefront, exposed, dealing with these issues. But I cannot do this in this particular scenario, because like I said, I would lose everything, wife and kids, and it will be a broken family because of it. Close to 20 years of building a family gone in days, guaranteed. And this is the stranglehold that they have on worldly people as well that are married to JWs. Or it could be. I guess it depends on how strong the JW spouse is. But now that we have kids involved, the stakes are even higher as far as my perspective of things. So it's really encouraging looking at all these ex-JW videos here on YouTube that really inspired me to tell my story from my perspective. There are quite a few of you ex-JWs out there. Perhaps there are some people researching the JW organization that does not know what they're getting into, or they are dating someone who is a JW or wants to be a JW. This will be sort of a testimony of what to expect if you do get involved with such a person. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. If you love that person dearly, you will go through the same tribulations that I'm going through, and I'll do it 2, 3, 4 times over again, because my wife is that type of person. She is great. She is the love of my life. I wouldn't do this for anybody else, and she's worth it. She's worth the fight. She's worth me sort of coming out of my shell like this to see if I could make some change. And I think change will happen very slowly. Maybe it won't. I just don't know as far as her. But as far as my children, the disfellowshipping sort of tactic that they use will be declawed, because they will always have their dad to go to whenever that hammer sort of comes down on them, which it will, especially with my youngest. She's somewhat of a rebel at the tender age of very young kid. I'll just put it like that. So with that, I'm rambling, and I'm eager to tell my story from a worldly perspective, and we'll see where this takes us. Now, I'll definitely keep you posted on how things are going around my neck of the woods, behind enemy lines, if you will. Okay, thank you, and I shall talk to you soon.